Yep, I am refreshing my YouTube because I know I have to do this like several times for it to actually work. Yep, I am okay, perfect. Looks like we are live. All right, welcome everyone to the 11th episode of Goddess Spotlight with Liaserenityrose. I'm your host Leah, and this episode we are going to be doing a Q&A with the ultimate voice actor.
Who's that again? I've never heard of this guy. He sounds like a very egotistical, high and mighty sort of person. It's certainly not who I am. Who could you remind me who this guy is again?
uh, yes. Of course you're gonna go down that route, ultimate.
What route are we talking? I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea whatsoever.
Ah, and I have a little special surprise. I
Is
actually
Kelp going to appear? Because if he's gonna hijack my thing, I won't stand for it.
I have a mystery co-host to join me for this Q&A. So why don't you come on in, mystery co-host?
Oh no.
Don't worry, my mystery co-host will be here soon.
I have a bad feeling of who you got. Crap!
Well,
Not
howdy
not
do.
you! I knew it! You why? Why? This was not what we agreed to! Why?
Because I live to torment you. Why
Leo,
else?
why did you agree to this? This is supposed to be about me! This
And
is
it is
all
about
about
you,
me!
but I
Then
get to
what the
be
heck?
here and help along the way. Isn't that great?
You don't know the meaning of the word help when it comes to me. You know
Oh, of course I
hijacking,
do.
sabotage,
Of course I
and
do.
why would you do this to me?
It was
Because you're not complete without me.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways.
All right, let's get started on this Q&A.
First, let me sharpen my knife. There's gonna be a murder tonight. They'll never
Oh,
find the body.
ultimate,
Yeah,
no.
because there won't be one. Anyway.
All right, so let's get started with this Q&A. All right, ultimate. How did you get into voice acting? And how did you become interested in voice acting and what inspired you to pursue this?
Well, you see, it all starts when I was just an itty bitty little toddler. I had a microphone. No, I'm kidding, actually. It was actually kind of late in my adult years that I learned um, that I wanted to be a voice actor. So I, growing up, I would always read comic books out loud. I don't know why. It's just something I really enjoy doing, and I gave character voices to every single character I read, and I do mean every character. Um, this happened a lot when I was reading more often with comic books, not really with like books with just words in them. It happened with comic books really. So I would read and then just give character voices um to all of to all the characters, and I was good at it. I learned real quick how to not really to emote, but to make my voice different. And then when I hit college, so this was when I was like, I think about my preteens all the way up to my to now, because I still do it today because it's fun to do. And when I hit college and, I was figuring out what do I want to do in my life? What do I want to be? Because I had several different ideas in my head as to what I wanted to become. But I, I couldn't figure it out. And then COVID hit and schools shut down, and then I decided not to go back to college and then all I did was I was at a rough spot. All I did was eat, sleep, watch YouTube, and um, go to work. That was my life, and it sucked. I was like, this sucks. What am I gonna do? So eventually, I got into it was around that time I got into the Sonic community through, believe it or not, Forces. Um, that was when I played several Sonic games before, but Forces was when I really um got into it. And I say what you want about the game, I enjoyed it. It was interesting. I really liked the character and stuff. But I was when I got to Sonic, I began to watch a bunch of Sonic fan comic dubs, and people were doing different voice impressions of this and that and whatnot, and doing editing. And I was also watching Bulma Bunny and Gotta Go Fast, YT, and I was like, this is really cool. I wonder if I could do that or something. And then um, the final nail in the coffin that would forever cement my destiny as becoming who I am was when I started a project. No, no, no. Before that, I watched a show that Kelp and I know about, is known as The Mandalorian, and um and I'd known that, people who watch this sort of stuff or any show like doing crossovers, like drawing crossovers of like different characters. Sonic is a good example. I've seen artwork of Sonic in Halo, in Pokemon, Genshin, and a few with Star Wars. And I was like, oh, maybe there's some fan art of maybe Sonic or Shadow as the Mandalorian. And I looked and there was none. And I was like, well, that's a crime. There should be like a project with this with like that or something. And my brain went, why don't you do that? And I said, okay. So um and so I started to that's what brought me into voice acting. And I I l- I I wasn't really, I'll be honest, I was not at all good in the beginning, and I thought I was good, but I was not. And, I yeah, that's where I got my start, and then I got humbled real quick. I'll sum up the last bit because not it I don't know. 'Cause it's not relevant to the question, but to sum up the last bit, I thought it was good. I was humbled real quick. I realized it was not good. I began to be mentored, and I learned a bunch of stuff, and eventually the rest is history.
Mm, cool. That's really cool, Ultimate.
Well, of course it is. It's me. Everyone's got to start somewhere. I just unfortunately started with a big ego, and then, well, I got humbled real
Don't I
quick.
know it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you weren't there for that. That was Cashlin's doing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, a lot of people when they start out, they have a bit of an ego about them, like saying, "I could
Yeah,
do this better than other people," and
yeah,
then they
and
have to
that
learn.
was exactly the mentality I had. I'm like, I can do this better than you, and turns out, no,
Yeah,
I
no.
was probably either on the same level or worse. So until I swallowed my pride and started learning again, like, okay, well, uh, I'm not good. I want to get better, and that's when you know, that's when it became apparent, like, oh, I'm getting better. I'm actually on par with these people, and maybe I'm better than a couple of people, but everyone's got to start somewhere. But yeah, I that's what that's what had happened with me. So
Mm. Kelp, do you have a question for Ultimate?
I sure do.
what question can you ask me that I can give an answer to? Because you know me. What? This is gonna be a surprise. Come on, hit me.
Yeah, but the viewers don't know you, clearly. So we gotta get the viewers acquainted with all the inner workings of the ultimate voice actor. They need to get it to know Tuva in and out, top to
Yep.
bottom,
First of all,
everything.
first of all, Tuva's not gonna catch on. It's catchy, but no.
Make it catch on.
No. Second of
I'm just
all,
kidding.
no. Second of all, yeah. What's the question?
So my question for you is, how did you get involved in some of the other collaborations you've done, namely with individuals like Cashlyn Snow?
Okay, so that one's easy. So, uh, so when I started getting into like the okay, let me think about this. So this is around the time where I just decided to go screw it. I'm just gonna do my own thing, and I started doing my own comic dubs. Because nobody was picking me up or doing anything. And I was acquainted with Cashlyn. We had actually worked on a project in 2021. Yeah, it was like it was. I have bad memories of this particular project. But she popped. It was like a live Q&A. It's sort of like we do at Revo, but completely unprofessional and no timing and stuff. And Cashlyn was a part of that for one thing, and she quit because of the unprofessionality. Um, I stayed because I was friends with the creator, and well, that was a horrible manipulative friendship. So I had to leave that. So, but I knew about her, and then I found out she was a voice actor, and I auditioned for. This is how we really, really got to know each other, and this is where my humbling began. I had auditioned for a project she was doing. Let me think about this for a second. It's been a while. No. She was opening casting for like private comic dubs and stuff. So she had to get voice actors and stuff. And I auditioned for uh Shadow Silver. At the time, she commented on people's auditions. And she didn't leave just a small little comment of how terrible I was. She took the time on every single audition to write a full scale paragraph of how terrible I was in the nicest way. she reached out to me. Shadow, I was still kind of cocky, but about every other character, like, and then, so I auditioned, I got casted, I got into the server, and that is when I met my bitter enemy who took everything from me. But we don't talk about that. That's how Kelp and I met. We met up in Cashin server. He's like, "Hi, I'm Shadow," and I was like, "Excuse me? You're what? You're who?" And yeah, so that's how I met Kelp. Was just he just magically appeared and snatched an opportunity right under my nose, and I have never forgiven him for that.
It's true. It's very true.
He doesn't deny it. He knows it was rightfully mine, and yet he was like, meh. The
No,
story of how he
I'm
attached
not
me.
saying that that part is true. I'm just saying that I did get the role. Yes, that is true.
Yeah, so that's how
The
I
other
met.
part is debatable.
Okay, whatever. But that's how I met Kelp, and but it was through Cashlin. As soon as I had like made friends with Cashlin, I was introduced to a whole lot of people. Kelp was one of them. Uh, Kelp, jog my memory. Was MC there at the time, or did he come later?
I think MC was there. I think that's also how I met MC.
Yeah, it was through Cashlin. Yeah, the MC
Yeah,
voices
I
was
met a lot of people that I got acquainted with in terms of
yeah
Sonic um,
through Cashlin.
through Cashlin. Yeah,
Cashlin,
so I
Cashlin was and still is big in the voice acting community. I like if you for most people, if you think of like a Rouge voice actress that's a fan, unless you're like really like living under a rock or just really small, you think of Cashlin Snow. You're like, boom, Cashlin, boom, Cashlin. Who do you want, Cashlin? Um, and not just for Rouge, she has like amazing range in other different female characters. But yeah, and then it was through Cashlin. I got acquainted with Sonic Revolution, which Kelp and I, well, actually, all of us are a part of Revolution. And that was where I met up with like Kevin and Remix and everybody else. It was through Cashlin. Who else? I saw auditions through Cashlin. I met. There was a few people I met on my own, like, but let me look through all of my project service. Let me see. Nope. All of them do it through Cashlin. Okay. Because I would get recommended by her, and I was also being mentored by her as well. Because I would constantly go to her for advice. Because I realized like she knew a heck of a lot more about this stuff than I did. So I would naturally just ask questions. She hooked me up with a guy Kelp and I know by the name of Palace Dawson, who was training her and then started teaching us as well. Um, and I also met. I think I met most everybody through. Okay, the majority of the beginning was through Cashlin, and then I started branching out and through other different projects. I met other people, but all the big leaguers like Revolution and yeah, Revolution. And Chaos Creators. That was through Cashlin. Um, that was how I got acquainted with everybody. So it was through this one woman who just brought me all the way to my lowest, and then gave me a step stool, and then a ladder, and then gave me tools to get better. It was through this one woman where I branched out and met all these different wonderful people, except Kelp. He's the only thorn in my side where I refuse to acknowledge that it was lovely meeting him. It's not. It really isn't. Um, but yeah, Cashin, if you're listening, thank you very much. I
oh,
really do appreciate it.
keep saying it. I know you love me.
In your dreams, pal. I'd rather shoot myself in the foot.
It's okay. I love you too.
Wow, that's really amazing that Cashlyn has really been inspirational to you, Ultimate. And the fact that she mentored you really like it like I can really see how much it helped with your vocal performance, and that's really amazing.
Yep.
Looks looks like we got some questions in the live stream chat. This is from Kevin.
Hey.
My question is, how do you come up with your OC Herald?
Oh boy. First of all, Kevin, we love you, Kevin. Anyways, I had to get that out of my system. Um, but Harold, oh boy, that's a whole can of worms. So I used to play something called Roblox, and I don't play it a lot anymore because I usually just play with friends. And there was this one particular friend who I was friends with that also hosted the same project that I first started with. That I'm no longer friends with. We used to play Roblox a lot, and there was one game that I was introduced to called Sonic Pulse. Now, before this, I used to roleplay before I got into the Sonic fandom, or was it around the same time? I don't remember. But I used to have this um, I used to no, but not a lot of people know this, but I actually used to be a wannabe Zelda theorist because it was in 2018 where I got into the Legend of Zelda franchise through Breath of the Wild, and I was introduced to a whole bunch of people through that, and I was like, I want to be a Zelda theorist, and I attempted a channel called Hyrule's Last Hope, which also was my roleplay name, to be a Zelda theorist. And well, I didn't have the time, motivation, nor the brain power to come up with theories, and it just it's deleted. Don't try looking up. It's gone forever. But yeah, so um, but why am I telling you this? That comes. It's important. I'm telling you. Just hold that later. But anyway, so I going back to what I was saying. I played Roblox. There's this game called Sonic Pulse where you can actually design an OC. It has a whole bunch more customization features than in Forces because you can actually adjust like the quills and adjust like all the gloves, the type of gloves, the shoes, everything. You can skin color, muzzle color, everything. So naturally, I was like, and they only had 3 options. You could do like a male or female hedgehog, male or female fox, or I think it was just a male echidna at the time. The game's like upgraded since then, but I've not played in forever, so there's probably a lot more features on it now. But anyway, so I was like naturally, okay, well, sure, I'll create a character. Sure, okay, what should it be? Let's just do a hedgehog, 'cause why not? Sure, whatever. So create a hedgehog, and I was okay. Well, I just throw some maybe the teal cyan color on him. Get him like spikes look nice, and oh, the spikes in the wrist, that's a touch. Chest fur, yes, I really like the lines on Shadow, but I'll make it a different color so it's different. Anyway, so I create this character, and then I found out, oh, they have a glass. And I was thinking on this real hard, and I was like, huh. Well, I thought back to my old RP days, and the name Hyro's Last Hope came to me. Hyro's Last Hope. HLH. And I wanted to keep that acronym. So what should we call him? Harold. Okay, that's an H. What should we do for the L? Okay, well, let's do Luke. Cool. What's his last name should be? Harold Luke Hildeberg. And I was like, okay, so then what profession should he be? Well, as a kid, I wanted to be a chiropractor or a veterinarian, but that's a doctor, right? Make him a doctor, okay? But let's make him a genius alongside that. Why not? But let's make him some sort of like wacky genius, like Doofenshmirtz. He's bright, but not entirely bright. He doesn't follow through as well. Okay, sure. Write a brief backstory, sure, whatever. All right, we're just gonna use him for this game. He's gonna be like a. And then when I got into voice acting, it's like, okay, let's just use this character as a mascot. Why not? And then yeah, that's all he was in the beginning, just a mascot. He was just my, you know, he's just like, the face of my channel. He's the guy I talked through, like, hey, it's his ultimate. You would see his face. He was just a mascot, just at a brief backstory, just a name. He was just, a character. And so that was all he was going to be. I kid you not. No character development whatsoever. He was just strictly a mascot. And then um during my this is during I think I go back to college? Yeah, I took a semester break, and after I got into voice acting, I started taking classes at college in voice acting. But college was kind of somewhat of a lonely time for me romantically, because I wanted a girlfriend. I was desperate for love, as they say, which is bad. Don't be desperate for love. Um, I was not good at picking up chicks. Let me tell you that. I did not have what you call the riz, and I still don't, as my friends tell
I
me.
can't believe those words came out of your mouth. But anyway, go on.
Anyways, um, so I remember I came home one day from work after um just mulling about, the week, and how, like, I'm looking everywhere and I see couples, and I'm like sitting down. My dad was sitting next to me in the living room, and I was like, Dad, I have this problem, and so we started talking about dating, and um when when it would be a good time to date, and when, but to sum up, I'm not good at summarization. As you all know, I'm a rambler, but I'm going to try to sum up as best I can what he told me, which was basically, this is not the best time to date for you, because you've got all this going on for you. You also have to be comfortable with the idea you may never marry. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, well, not everyone is, you know, destined to be married, so to speak. I mean, there's some people that actually do well single. There's some people who do well married. There's no like right or wrong when it comes to this, but just, maybe you have to be comfortable with the idea that you may never get married. And I was like, that's really good advice, because, you can do everything in your power to find a date, and you may never land one. You may never find somebody that clicks with you. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's a calling. So anyways, that conversation I had in my head and with my dad kept going on in my head, and it prompted me to write a script. And it's a dialogue between a character by the name of Dr. Harold Luke Hildeberg and Roosh the Bat. And that was the foundation for episode 1 of my audio drama series. And I remember sending it to Cashlyn, and Cashlyn was like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet. At the time, I did not know she actually does not voice an OC-related stuff. Ooh, did not know. But she actually humored me in this one. And so yeah, we record the lines. I edited them. I did not know anything about sound engineering at the time, so I just kind of slapped all the raw audio together and some sound effects and music and whatnot. And yeah, I just slapped it all together and put it up on YouTube, and I think it's doing really well. And yeah, that was the core of Harold's personality was formated in that first episode. And let me get one thing straight. Again, you know how I said he was only supposed to be a mascot? Well, for this audio drama thing, it was only meant to be a one shot. Nothing was supposed to come of it. Nothing. And I remember uploading it, premiering it, or I think I just uploaded, I don't remember, but I just sat there and I was like, wow, that was actually kind of fun to do. And my brain just went, you should write more. And I was like, okay. And so far, we got 9 episodes and a couple of one-shots in there. And so, yeah, that's how Harold became a a character, and he was never intended to be that way, but here we are.
Wow. That's quite interesting to learn that your conversation with your dad actually inspired the start of your audio drama.
Hmm.
That's that is something that was very surprising to learn.
Yeah, my dad actually was. Not only was he very supportive of my decision to pursue voice acting, he also actually helped me one time to voice a character. In my ever first comic dub, which is a Shadoosh comic dub. What is it called? Flirting. It was by Choco Cat. He was the president, and because I saw an old guy, and I was like, "Hey, my dad's an old guy. He could voice the president." And for a guy who had zero voice acting, he did pretty good. So
Mm.
yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So yeah, my dad has been like a inspiration to me like ever since I was a little boy, and him just inspiring one of my I want to say one of my greatest ongoing series is just really humbling to just think about how much he's influenced my life. So
That is so cool. Oh, Kelp, looks like I see another question in the live stream chat. Do you
I'm
want
surprised there hasn't been 30 in the time I've been talking.
to?
I
Give
have
it
no
more
idea.
time. I'm sure there'll be more.
Oh, good. I'll keep talking then. Anyways,
um, which question were you looking at?
It's from Mumbomations.
Oh, okay. That's a
I'm
good
sorry. Did you
one.
say Bum Nations?
No, Mumbomations. They
Dang it.
ask, what would you say is the hardest part of being a voice actor?
Dealing with you. No, that's actually not the hardest bit.
Okay, you heard it here first. It's dealing with a guy named Kelp. Anyway.
um, motivation is a factor. Um, Even now, there's a project I've been dying to get out, and that Cashman's been poking me in the butt about, and I just had no motivation to work on it. So motivation is a factor because, as I've learned, you're an entrepreneur when you're a voice actor. You have to motivate yourself to get out there and audition because you know what? You're not going to land every role you audition. I learned that really, really quick. Did it register? No. I had to summon humbly, but you're not going to land every role. Auditioning is the work. The landing the role and getting the callback is just the icing on the cake. That's it. And it's even more disappointing when it's a paid project. But you have to that's where self-motivation comes in. I get self-motivation in spurts. So there's just be some seasons where it's just like I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to do this. And there's just some motivations like, where's my mic? I gotta do something, I gotta record, otherwise I'm just gonna just die. Um, so um, so self-motivation is I'd say the greatest enemy of the voice actor because you're an entrepreneur. You got to get yourself out there. If you don't have the motivation to do that, you're not going anywhere.
Mm. Yeah, but like for sure the voice acting, because a lot of professional voice actors will tell you it is just part of the business,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Entrepreneur is self-employed. I don't know. It's not. You're your own boss, so you pick your hours. You pick the work. Oops, and I knocked over my cup. I'm okay. No, nothing happened. But yeah, you pick your own projects. You have to uh and you have to have that motivation to do that. If you don't have it, well, dude, you're screwed. Simply put.
Mm. Looks like I see another question in the live stream chat, and it's from the prankster dubs.
Oh
So
gosh.
my question
Uh,
for Ultimate is that who is actually the most delightful fellow cast member to work with? That's a great question.
oh man, delightful. Oh man, there's a lot of good options. As I've worked with a lot of people. So Kelp is bottom of the barrel, of course. He's never
Obviously,
delightful.
yes. Clearly.
Obviously. Um,
Obviously, when she said delightful, I was like, well, that rules me out. There I go. Just
um,
back to the back of the
uh,
pack.
If I had to choose one person who's just an absolute delight to work with, Sydney Page.
Oh,
All
yes.
the way. There's no one else I know who not only has the talent, the range, and just somehow it turns out to be the sweetest, nicest person you ever met. Sydney and I met at Chaos Creators. I think we met on Discord sometime. I forget where and why. But we met in person, and I was just like, who is this woman, and where did she get for her age? There's so much pureness inside of her. It's so weird. Um, um, she's absolutely the sweetest, and she is such a joy to work with in anything. Like I get jealous of other. I ranted about this the other day. I get jealous of other people who get to work with her as often as like they do because Sydney and I are not in a lot of projects together, and we don't get a lot of interactions as much. Um, because there's other people who voice other roles that she voices with Silver and Blaze, and I don't get a part of that because I'm not casted for that. But I, she is absolutely a delight to work with, and she's she's just the greatest. she, she, you know, yeah. See, there's no words that just describe how sweet and amazing she is. And the talent is undeniably awesome. So yeah, Sydney Page.
Nice, yeah. Like like that I can totally agree with. Like like she's so humble, and
Yeah, yeah.
and
She's
when
so
you think
humble,
about
so sweet.
and
I
when you
wish I
think
had. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
she usually like compliments everyone too. So it's like that's just how you know she's like a delight to be around.
She's just the best.
Yeah.
That's just the best way to put it is that she's just the best. Every
Yeah.
chance you get to work with Sydney Page is always a delight to partake in. It's so great.
Yeah. I agree.
Hey.
another another person I'd say is also a delight to work with. And this is not coming from any bias. In fact, actually, if I had any other definition for it, she would actually. I don't know. She's just sarcastic, and it's not. Cashlin's also up there, but I was gonna say Elmer Louise VA. Um,
Ooh.
I don't get to work with her as often as I would like to, but all the times I've worked with her, it's like working with Cashlin, but with a whole nother level of sass. She makes fun of me for everything. She makes fun of my writing, makes fun of all in good fun, of course, but it's just because I I I don't know what to say. I'm just like I don't so and she's in a lot of projects and I really want to work with her on those, but uh I'm not casted any of the things she's in. But the times I've worked with her were a lot of fun, and she's also a really behind all that sass. She's a very sweet person. And yeah, I really wish I could work with her on more stuff instead of just my own projects. Which I'm very grateful she's working in with me on that. But you know, just wish I could be just castmates with her outside of that. You know.
Mm. Ooh, I actually have a question for you, Ultimate.
You do.
I'm very curious. Tell us about that telenova audio drama you did with Sydney and Kelp.
I was ho I was actually low key kind of hoping you'd say, "Tell me about your childhood," and I was gonna break into song about my nose, but sure, that's fine. The telenovela audio drama, like the one not Cash on, Sydney and Kelp were with me on that one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, that's all their idea. I was just dragged into it. So of course the inspiration of that, of course, was the Whose Line Is It panel on Sonic Revolution, where Sydney and Kelp did a telenovela and completely that was all improv, by the way. They did not script any of it. The exploding pancreas was Sydney's idea. Kelp just kind of fumbled, and then he cheated by muting his mic when he laughed. Poor Sydney suffered through it. Kelp, no, you should just suffer through it with her. You should have just laughed. Anyways,
We're not supposed to break character. What could I do? It
but
was
it was
just too
funny.
funny. I was caught so off guard.
Just laugh, man. They don't matter. Anyways, so yeah, that happened, and then who was it? See, my only part of it was just voicing Baron von What's face. I did not even know they were planning something. I don't know whose idea was it to continue this thing. All I know is they needed a
Sydney's.
start. See, okay, it was Sydney's. I was gonna say you, but that's
No,
giving you
it
way
it
too much.
actually wasn't me. It was
Yeah,
Sydney. Sydney came to me with the idea.
I was gonna say that'd be giving you way too much credit on the creative field. But anyways, um, yeah, so Sydney came up with the idea. Kelp agreed with it because, of course, duh, opportunity to work with Sydney. Who wouldn't say no? And he could, they got together. She wrote the script, right? Like she wrote all that. What did you do? Did you do anything?
Yeah, she wrote the script. I voiced Silver, and
Oh,
then
and then
I kind of brought you along with the. I kind of pitched the idea that we had you in as the other.
as the Baron. Oh, so you didn't know who was gonna be the Baron? It was just some
We
random
had
guy.
at first we were thinking about what we were gonna do for like because I read some of the lines and I saw there was a bunch of people there was a bunch of different characters and I said, it would be cool if we got Ultimate in on this.
No, no, I'm talking about the telenovela, not the other thing. No,
Yeah,
not
no,
the other.
that's
Oh,
oh
that
for Baron von what's right,
yeah, that
yeah.
were you not paying it? I even said his name. Like,
Right, no, because I think what we had the idea for was that it was gonna be like it was gonna be Starline. And
okay, so it was
we
Starling
kinda
Baron.
went with that, and it was like, "Okay, if it's gonna be Starline, then it's gotta be Ultimate."
Okay. Yeah,
So,
where were you on
we
this?
got
Because I
Ultimate in there.
distinctly said Baron von What's his face, and I was talking. She
I
even
got a little
said
mixed in there.
telenovela.
I thought we were talking about the other one, but anyway.
I thought I was dense, but anyways, yeah, no, 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 no. So I came in as Starline, and I read the script. I was like, I absolutely love this. This is amazing. I get to be my devious, uh, sexy self. But anyways, but yeah, I read the script, and that the ending actually was all improv because we had Sydney was struggling on how to end the episode, and Kelp was no help because he's never any help, and so I had to step in. No, in all humility and stuff, they were just pit. I don't think Kelp. Did you have any input in the script, like at all, or
I think what I did was I kinda pitched the idea that we could wing it on certain,
okay?
areas, like with the intro bit, the intro for the TV show, was completely my
Same.
idea. I completely said, "What if we just randomly at the start of it, we do like what they do beforehand where they, like, advertise, like, in a super dramatic voice, like, saying, 'On the last episode, we saw our star-crossed lovers,'" and something like that, and it was just I kinda had the idea, like, what if we did that again, but instead we have it as a fumbled script reading, and just made it really funny, so I figured it would be best if it was you and me who
Well,
did
because the
that.
whole idea is stupid,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
idea
my
is that it's a telenovela which has, like, these super dramatic, like,
yeah, yeah.
introductions and everything, so I wanted to make it, like, a failed, like, dramatic reading, so that was kind of my idea, and then with the ending, I
I
think I added in some improv about, like, Silver and Starline kinda breaking script and Silver saying, like, Starline, didn't you read the script?" And then you were like, "Wait, what?"
wait, what? It's oh, come on,
That was all
you're
improv, and
playing a
I think I
film.
suggested that, but it was it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then the very end, I'm told that because you guys went off on a tangent because she said your line, the "It's no use" line, and then quick thinking on my end because I remembered that Starline has a unique ability that I've not seen any other Sonic character because he's a platypus. He's got heel spurs, and in nature, males have heel spurs that have toxins that paralyzes their prey or for self defense. So, and that's seen in IDW where he like paralyzes Rough and Tumble. He paralyzes quite a few people actually. And and they're also electrified, but we only see that once, unfortunately, before he, you know. And but yeah, I decided like, hey, let's just improv Starline kicking Silver, and he's all paralyzed and stuff. And he takes the bride, and off they go, and we don't know what happens next. I don't even know what happens next.
I don't either.
Yeah, so we're just
We don't
waiting on.
know.
We're waiting on.
We may never know.
We. It's just Starline's kidnapped the bride. We know what happens. We don't know. But yeah, that's how I got roped into that, and I'm excited for the third because I don't know what happens. I just know I'm going to be having so much fun.
Who knows if the third will come? Who knows? No one's to
We can't.
say.
We can't have a cliffhanger. Like, I hate cliffhangers.
All the best shows have cliffhangers, and then Netflix decides to cancel them, and then they never come back. Just
That's
Oh
a
my
terrible fate.
Oh my gosh. I actually enjoyed I actually enjoyed that. I was like, I was not expecting this because wasn't that like
Neither
what
was I.
wasn't it part of like the Sylvain's week or something, I
It was part
believe?
of Sylvain's week, yeah.
I actually did not know that. That's actually kind of clever.
Or there was like a Sylvain's, I think, like Sylvain's weekend or something that was an event that happened last year, and Sydney said, "All right, we're gonna do a certain amount of things for each of these days because it was to coincide with the anniversary, like the birthday slash anniversary of Silver and Blaze's first appearances, because they're like right back to back with one another."
Mhm.
Um, and we decided those were the days that we were going to do it, and that was with what 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 Sydney had planned, because we wanted to do something for Sylvain's week. We just didn't know what it was, so we ended up doing like one like scripted audio drama that was not the telenovela, and then we did a sequel to the original. We re-released the original as like a separate thing, and then
Yeah.
we had the second episode, so to speak, show up, and Ultimate popped in that. And then we also had the other the I Just Need a Moment audio drama, which also
Mm.
featured Ultimate in various roles as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and I remember we did that Sylvain's like duet cover of Stronger together from the Miraculous movie, and that was also part of the Sylvain's week. Um where it was released on Silver's birthday, if I remember.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Hmm
Oh, my
Aside from
shoulder.
Xbox, why? My Xbox keeps turning on for some reason.
Aha! That's me manipulating the situation so
It's
you
like
get
every time
distracted.
I sit down over here, it turns on just randomly, and I'm like, I don't want you to turn on right
It's
now. I
telling
just turned you
you
off.
to play it. See, my Xbox
No,
is fine with me ignoring it. It hasn't turned on once.
no, I'm here to host your Q&A. I'm not here to play Xbox.
All right.
Oh my gosh. Kelp, do you have another question for Ultimate?
Yes, I sure do.
Oh boy.
So Ultimate, we know obviously you're a big fan of Sonic and Zelda and Star Wars, but outside of those three,
And
what
Mario.
would you say would be a dream franchise to voice act in?
Crap.
Ooh.
So Song 182 is out of the question. All right.
No,
Um,
nothing Sonic related, nothing Star Wars related, and nothing Zelda related.
what
Just
about
outside of
Mario?
those three, what would be a dream franchise to be able to voice act in or take part in any way?
Yeesh. I don't know. I mean, uh, dang it. Okay. Franchise. Well, I think if they continue making the games, I think Halo would be something cool to pop in, like as a Marine or like a Covenant grunt. um, Halo was one of the really cool because I'm a Star Wars fan, so the idea of fighting aliens in space really appeals to me. So and it's a really good video game series. There's some, hits and misses in the couple of the games, but it's so cool, and I'm a big fan of Master Chief, just his voice. The Arbiter's really cool because the Arbiter's voice actor's popped up in a few games and movies I've seen, and he has a really nice baritone. But yeah, Halo would be one. Mario would be another. I don't know, just as a Toad or a Goomba. just uh, let's see. Another franchise I would love to voice act in would um Sea of Thieves. Just maybe as a NPC pirate.
Mm.
Um, I mean, the fun fact, there's little story bits you can play called Tall Tales, and in one of the Tall Tales, one of the skeleton characters is actually voiced by Carl Weezer. So, if they can get Carl Weezer in a Sea of Thieves, I don't know, maybe I have a chance. Um, but if the one thing I could voice in could be, like, I just want to voice in an indie project, something that's not happened before, and if I could be a part of and lend my voice to. I've actually auditioned for a couple of things like that. Unfortunately, they've never even gotten off the ground, so you know, lucked out on those, but still hoping.
Yeah, that's
Ooh.
how it is with most indie projects. I mean, like
Yeah.
I was part of one a while back, and the first episode was all that ever was released. I was lucky enough to be a character in the first episode, but then just
Kind of
the
just fell
project
apart.
was just stopped because
Yeah.
of creative differences and writing
Yeah.
and motivations and all this other
Yeah,
stuff.
I would love to voice, like, indie is definitely up there, but if I could voice in, like, an already, like, established franchise as a side or maybe even a main character, that would be cool. But who knows, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, it's quite interesting you say Mario because you actually did a really great Luigi voice in that panel last year for
I
the.
remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I can do just more things than just Luigi. Mario is another one I can do. And then there's also I can do Toad. I can do somewhat of a Yoshi. Not like I thought my Yoshi was good. Then I met Sydney. I was like, all right, well, um,
Yeah, when we were picking out the cast for that panel, I remember I was like, "All right, I know for a fact I want Andrew to be Mario because I knew he could do the voice of Mario, and
yeah,
he's
and he was
also the
really
voice
good.
in Revo for Sonic." So I
Uh,
was like, it would be so
yeah,
funny if
makes sense.
Andrew is Mario as well because he does that voice, but he also voices Sonic for Revo. So it's like it just makes
Yeah,
sense to have him as Mario. And then
fun.
when I went for Luigi, I'm like, Ultimate's got a really good Luigi. Let's just go with him.
Yeah, yeah. And then I actually, if I push myself, I could actually pull off a Peach. So um,
Mm.
now my range is not as good as Andrew, who could voice almost everybody in the Mario franchise, but
That's
um
because Andrew is amazing.
yeah, Andrew's just Andrew. He's just wow. But yeah, but you know, I if I they wanted to give a Goomba a voice, I'd just be like, sure, why not? Um, or a Boo, or maybe a boss that gets his butt handed to him. I don't care. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, like I think what was pretty funny in that panel was that even Sydney commended you for like translating for her Yoshi
Oh, come on,
during.
what does Luigi do when Mario's off on his adventures? He stays at home. So what do? He cleans the house, he cooks, he waters the plants, he feeds the Yoshis, and so he spends a lot of time talking to the Yoshis. And so he's picked up a thing or two from the Yoshis. So now he's able to talk to Yoshis. And I just headcanon in all the games that Luigi doesn't appear, um, where it's just Mario focused. That's where Luigi is. He's just with the Yoshis, just talking about how the year the Luigi turned out to be a huge disaster, and now his name is infamous for that. And and they're there patting his shoulder, comforting him, and licking his hair and asking for fruit. But that's just me. Um, yeah. I was kind of prepared to be like, oh well, if we don't have a Yoshi, I could do it. And then Sydney popped up and did hers. I'm like, it's too adorable. I can't compete with that.
Yeah, but that's really cool. Very interesting choices of other franchises
Yep.
that you want to hopefully be a part of. Ooh, okay. Looks like
I see one in the chat that's interesting.
Oh, sure. Do you want to read it?
Sure. From Trey Thornton 19, my
Mm.
question to Ultimate, what is your favorite voice fan dub you have participated in?
I wish you'd asked me that when I first started. because I've been in so many now. I don't know what to pick. Fan dubs. So I'm going to actually do myself a favor and excuse anything I've done within my own channel, because that'd just be biased. So if we're branching out, oh yes, one of MC's dubs was the Sidewalk Crisis. And it's just so hilarious. The premise is that Sonic and Shadow are walking towards each other on a sidewalk, and naturally, you would go to the side to let the other guy pass. Well, they move to the same side, and they try to do it again, and they do it again and again, and it just turns out they're just blocking each other, and so at the end of it, they're just beating each other up because, neither one of them will pass because they accuse each other of hogging the sidewalk. Well, I really love doing that comic. I crack up every time because not only was our voice acting impeccable, but MC's choice of music and sound effects just sold it. And actually, I was actually moving at the time, and he wanted me to do some improv at the end, like I usually do, because in a lot of comics that I do, that for him, I just improv, and it's a lot of fun because I just add more to the story. But where was I? Yeah, so at that end bit, where you just hear Shadow and Sonic about to, beat each other up, and you hear my voiceover going, I wonder if they could just realize that he just teleport. That's MC doing Shadow in that background. So and it sounds just like me, which is really cool. It's so props to MC for doing that. Another great comic that I've done is also by the same artist, and Yanime, that's her name. And it's the Chili Dog Standoff. I've done that comic 3 times. One for Cashland, one for MC, and one for a guy, one of my friends named NG99. And all 3 of them is just me as Shadow. And all 3 of them are all 3 different takes of the same lines. And it's beautiful because it also just shows my range and how much I've grown from each of the dubs I've done, because I get to pick and choose how I get to promote the same line so it's not the same reading. And I didn't want to be lazy and just send in the same lines I did for the same comic because it would just all sound the same. That's boring. You want creative freedom. You want to, vary a bit. And sending in your lines for the same comic for like 5 different people, and then you watch the comic and it's the same lines and the same annotation. That's boring. Real quick, I would lose a lot of following if I did that. So no, for all you wannabe voice actors out there, record, re-record. If it's the same comic, don't send in the same line. Just record again. It's not too much of a problem. So yeah, those are the 2, and then by the same artist, which is funny enough. Those are the choices I would pick.
I'd also add in some of your fan dub work with Pixel Rush is also really good.
Oh, does that really? It's not fan dubbing, is it?
I mean, technically, you are dubbing over the animation, so I would
Okay.
count it.
All right.
But I'd say that some of your stuff with Pixel Rush is really good. That's some of my favorites.
I've only done 2 things for Pixel Rush, and that would be the my first ever role for it, which is like the whole Christmas thing, the Christmas showdown, where it's a big old snowball fight. That was my first time appearing as Antoine. And then the latest one where I am being memed for is the one where Antoine comes in and, he sees Sonic and Sally's like, "We're going on a date. Could you cover for us?" And because the reason that's also one of my favorites because of the scream. That one particular scream that I did, and it's hilarious because I don't even know how I did it without destroying my voice. And that's not the first time I've done that particular goat scream. I've done it on another thing for Nays and Void of Voices, where the very first comic dub that we did, that scream pops up when Rotor's about to cut the table, if you remember that Archie comic. So yeah, I love screaming as Antoine. I love being Antoine. It's just my cowardice just coming out. I'm like, because I'm a very paranoid person. I mean, you can see it when I'm looking at Kelp. I'm like, is he gonna do something? So yeah, that I get to play in that with Antoine. It's so much fun, and that's why that one of Pixel Rush that Pixel Rush worked. Not only did I do fantastic in that, I also got memed. Well, I kind of No, I did get memed for it. I just kind of played more into the memes. Part 2 of another episode of that meme compilation is gonna come out real soon. I just got to put it all together and then pick a day and time to upload it, and then make fun of myself for just being memeable.
Mm. Yeah, I love how like so many people like made like they put like so many different things
I
because
blame Doom, the Mean Queen. She started it naturally, and then more people joined in, and then I just I made a couple myself, and then I just gathered all of them, and then just popped the video, and then it just blew up, and I was like, "Wow, we got to make a part 2 now because then more memes coming in." I'm like, "Dang it!"
Oh my gosh. Oh, I see another I see another question here. And it in the live stream chat by Dino Kaiju. Question for Ultimate. How did you become a big fan of Whisper the Wolf?
Oh gosh, why? Oh no.
You had
Oh,
to know this was coming.
I didn't think it was coming actually. Oh boy. I am going to be made fun of after telling the story. It's fate at this point. I really hope I hope Amber's not listening because she's whisper for me, and that's just gonna be cannon fodder for her. It's just going to. Okay, all right. Well, at the time, I was reading up on as much Sonic as I can so I can understand all the characters. So got into IDW, um, and I started reading all the comics. I bought a bunch of Sonic volumes of the IDW comics that were out as a Christmas gift to my brother, but it was also kind of a Christmas gift to me because then I could just sit there and just read, and and then so now, before that, I had limited knowledge of all the other characters as well, and an even more limited knowledge of Archie. So, how I started to learn, well, let me think about this for a second. Um, I met Whisper in the comics, of course, and I just kind of fell in love with their character because her personality is attractive to me because that's kind of the qualities I look for a girl sometimes. Quiet, sweet, um, knows when to go, when to stop, is a real like rock for some people because she can stop and see ahead and warn people of a problem. And I'm a look before you leap kind of guy. Sometimes I stop. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. Other times it's just like, crap. And so a girl that could kind of ground me a little bit that's an attractive quality. Um, all you ladies, please take notes. I'm kidding. Anyways, so that was terrible. I am ashamed. Anyways, so when I started writing my series, and it was episode 2 was where I teased Whisper. Um, and the reason I chose Whisper as the potential love interest for Harold was actually through a few hours of researching every Sonic female character, save for Rouge, because Rouge is already established at this point as a mom figure for Harold, and it'd be really weird to date your mom. Anyways, so as I was looking, my first top choice was surprisingly Sally Acorn. I mean, because what's not to love? She is really attractive and a redhead. Anyways, so where was I? I lost my train of thought. So yeah, so I my first pick was Sally, but I was like, I'm a Son Alley fan. I don't want to really take that away from Sonic. Yeah, let's just okay. Sally's a no go. All right, just let her be with Sonic. That's fine. And also, I had established at that time that Harold and Sally's relationship were a close sibling like relationship, much to my relationship with like say Sonic Boom. We have this very familial relationship that kind of play into where was I going with this? I'm not the best at phrasing these things. We have a family-like relationship. It'd be weird, if anything more came from that. And same with Harold and Sally, except Harold had a crush on Sally. Sally rejected him, and then it just turned into, oh, we're like siblings now. So, another choice was Bunny, but then I found out Bunny was married to Antoine. I was like, that's not gonna fly. No, 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 no. Let's let the Frenchie have his hot bunny wife. Anyways, and then Nicole was an option, but then I found out she was a computer. Um, and it and I really did not want to write the joke where I headcanon that Shadow has mocked him and told him that he's going to end up marrying his computer because he can't find a date. And well, Nicole's a computer. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do him dirty like that. Let's see who else. So Mina was an option. I didn't know too much about Mina, and I was like, nah. Let's see who else. Who else? There's who else? I did not actually. I did not look. Like I said, my knowledge of Archie was very limited, so I didn't know about any of the other female characters in Archie. I went to IDW. So the only two. Oh yeah, Amy's was already out of the question. I did not consider Amy at all for a love interest. Gosh, who else? Uh, Vanilla was also not an option, for obvious reasons. And then I landed on Tangle, and I was like, I don't know about this. Because Tangle and Harold's personalities are similar, and I don't think it would work out. Plus, to me, she's more like that really cool best friend that you could just goof off with and do bad stuff together because it's just, you're being stupid, you know? And then I finally got to Whisper, and I was like, I mean, and I really thought about this, and I was like, it could work. I could make it work. And I researched her character, and I was like, yeah, this could work. Like I think, yeah, she Harold is just all fast thinking, gotta do this, gotta do that. I gotta, he thinks, he goes before he thinks, and he talks before he realizes what he's saying. And Whisperer could be that force. Was just like, wait a minute, let's stop for a bit, let's think about this, and 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 she's also, you know, she doesn't display her emotions a lot. Where Harold wears his heart on his sleeve and is just like, you hurt me, and I'm going to cry for 5 hours. So, and he thinks with his emotions, and Whisper does not, and that would be a really great counterbalance for that. So I was like, sure, okay, let's go with it. Why not? Let's try this. So I teased her in episode 2, and when I did, everybody thought it was Jewel. And I didn't even consider Jewel. I've completely forgotten she was a character in IDW when I was considering all the different, the eligible bachelorettes I could choose from for Harold. I completely forgot about Jewel because how minor of a role she had in IDW, and I feel bad for it. But everyone thought it was Jewel. There was only like one or two people who were like, "Oh, it's Whisper," but everybody thought it was Jewel, and I was like, actually, this could work in my favor." So I started teasing. I just started poking fun at some of my friends, especially this one girl. Her name is Ocean Amethyst. Kelp remembers her.
Mhm.
Yeah, she was big on Jewel being, you know, with Harold, and she even DM'd me, and she was like, "Hey, if you need a Jewel, I could help you on that." And I'm over here just like, "Yeah, I'll let you know." And I'm biting my tongue because like, how am I gonna tell her? How do I break this to her that she's not gonna appear? uh, and then 3 came out as a filler because I wanted 4 to be the one where it just closes that arc a little bit. Because by that time, I had an idea of how the show was gonna run. There was gonna be an arc, and every 4 episodes was a part of that arc, and then the occasional one shot and stuff with, like, different ships and stuff. um, or the one shot where it just kind of fills in the gap, and that's where Starline popped up in 6.5. That was a fill in the gap one shot thingy. Um, and but anyways, I go back to episode 4, and I was big on keeping everything secret in that episode because that was the episode Whisper is going to appear, and it was going to be the blind date with Harold and Whisper, and I everything was absolute secrecy. Like I know Cashlin and MC appeared. Um, I only fed them just a little bit of the script. They did not know anything else. For MC, I just gave him all of his waiter lines. For Cashlin, I just wrote up a narration introduction and gave that to her. The only people who knew about episode 4 were myself, Sydney, who plays Tangle, and then my Whisper voice actress at the time, Rio Dies. She knew about that because obviously she voiced the character that appeared. And then from there, just the rest is history.
Mm. Quite interesting.
I wish I didn't talk so much. I wish I could really summarize because that was a lot of detail. And I apologize if I lost everybody.
It's all good. Cal, do you want to read the next question in the live stream chat?
Sure. This one is another one from Prankster Dubs. Another question for Ultimate. If you could pick one Star Wars movie to watch over and over for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh crap! For the rest of my life, shoot. Good question. I want to say, I really want to say, episode 6 because that's my favorite.
That's
But
my episode. That's the one I'd pick.
really, wow,
Mm.
Yeah,
okay.
that's my
Well,
favorite.
yeah, I would go with that really, but there's a lot of context in that where, if that was the one movie I watched only for the rest of my life, I wouldn't get a lot of the context of what's going on. So I have to go, as much as I love Return of the Jedi and it's my top pick, I would watch that. If I couldn't watch anything else, I'd watch that. If I had to watch it for the rest of my life, I would actually go with episode 4 because by itself, you don't really need to watch anything else because that was all that George Lucas originally was going to do. Just that episode, I think. Um, he was just because he didn't even know if it was going to succeed. He didn't even show up to his own premiere for Pete's sake. He was like, "There's a movie, space drama. Okay, have fun. I'm gonna go and talk to Steven Spielberg about the next Indiana Jones on a beach." That's what he was doing during the premiere of the greatest space franchise that ever came to existence in Hollywood. He was just like, "This ain't gonna succeed. Let's just talk about Indiana Jones." And then he's like, "Come home," and now he's like, "Wait, what happened? You actually liked the movie?" So yeah, it would be the 4th episode that I would watch for the rest of my life.
Mm. Ooh, cool. Ooh, I see another question in the live stream chat by Rainboom. Hi, Rainboom. Question for Ultimate. I know you're a big fan of the Zelda series. Which was your favorite Legend of Zelda game?
So I haven't played a lot, unfortunately, and I wish uh, I really wish I could play more. But I don't own a bunch of Zelda franchises, and the older ones, you have to, get a subscription on the Switch, and I don't have the Switch with me, and and the Wii U eShop is closed, and so I can't buy games in there. But let's see, so the games I have played or watched somebody play is I played a little bit of Wind Waker. I never finished it. I need to. Breath of the Wild, which was what got me into the series. Tears of the Kingdom, which, oh my gosh, it's so good. Um, and let's see, I've played the original Legend of Zelda, um, like the very first Legend of Zelda game, and I've seen my brother play through Twilight Princess.
Mm.
Um, and my, uh, yeah, if I had to choose one to be my all-time favorite, it would be Tears of the Kingdom, because it's just so good. I mean, I see a lot of people complain about like the different like minor details. I'm like, dude, the story is good, the gameplay is good, the amount of exploration you could do and get distracted on is amazing. Um, the final boss was just like, what? I won't spoil it. It was just like, what? And then there was a certain plot twist that got me just all sad. Kelp knows what I'm talking about. I was
Yep.
really saddened. Um, it wasn't bad. It was just like, oh, and so yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. Because there's it's
I'll say this
it's
much: if you do get around to playing another one in the franchise, I have one that I would recommend.
is it Ocarina of Time?
No,
Oh, which one is it?
Majora's Mask.
That was gonna be my second guess. Yeah, I hear Ocarina of Time
I
is like,
highly recommend that you try out Majora's Mask. Majora's
is it?
Mask is a really that's what got me into the series. It was my
I
first
hear
Zelda game,
I hear
was
that's like
Majora's
the
Mask.
I hear that's like the darkest of the Zelda games.
It is. It's the darkest one.
Like
They
even
at the
darker,
time,
even
they made a
darker than
remake of Majora's Mask on the 3DS, and that was
yeah.
the first Zelda game I ever played, which was Majora's Mask 3D, and I loved it. So much fun.
Yeah,
Um,
isn't it darker than Twilight Princess? 'Cause Twilight Princess got dark a few
It's
times.
it's darker than Twilight Princess because it
Oh,
could be seen as an analogy for the 5 stages of grief. It could be seen as a lot of things. I mean, the whole plot of the game is that the moon is crashing into the world, and you only have 3 days to prevent it. And you watch the city go from like, "Oh, they're denying that anything's gonna happen," till when it gets to the final hours, everyone is like accepted that their lives are forfeit. They're gonna die, and it's very dark. It's extremely dark topics. It's a really great game though. A lot of fun. I highly recommend Majora's Mask.
nice. Okay. I don't
Mm.
have a 3DS, so I can't play it. Oh well. Next question.
Okay, here is my next question for you, Ultimate. Are there
Sure.
are there any professional voice actors who inspired you, in
James Arnold Taylor.
Ooh, nice, nice.
Not only does he appear as, a he plays almost every single. Not because of what he's done, but because of his range. Because he could just do so much with his voice, and he has a mid to high voice himself. Um, like he's not a bass at all, and that he's kind of in my voice range, and he's just so cool. And I'm like, I wanna do what he does because that is
Mm,
talent and range and everything I
mm.
want. Another inspiration, particularly for animal sounds, is crap. What's his name? Help me out here, Kelp. He plays 200,000 units that are ready, and 1,000,000 more well on the way.
Yeah, I know who you're
What
talking
what's
about.
his name? Like, gosh. Ah! He da. He plays Appa, he plays Momo, he plays dude.
It's D. Bradley Baker,
Thank
isn't it?
you, D. Bradley Baker. How I Oh my gosh, yes,
I was
D.
gonna
Bradley
I was
Baker.
gonna give you some time to see if you figured it out, but it
Yeah,
seemed
I
like
know.
you weren't
Struggling
remembering.
so much. Yeah, D. Bradley Baker. He not only plays, like I said, 200, he plays clone troopers in the Clone Wars, and he also plays Appa and Momo, which is where the animal inspiration comes from. He also plays Perry the Platypus. Like, wow, whoa, that's cool. And all he does is just or whatever. I can't do it because I don't have that talent. But another why he's also another inspiration because he also has range, but in a different way. With the clone troopers in the Clone Wars, every clone voice sounds the same, and yet he makes their voices different by different emphasis on words or by annotation or and it's just so cool because even when you're sitting there watching, they're all have helmets on so you can't see their mouths, but you can tell who's talking just because of the difference in their voice. Some of them have like a slightly higher voice, slightly lower voice. I think he did a Scottish accent for one of them. um I was in the Umbra arc, I think, and and it's just so cool. And then you see Bad Batch come up, and then every single clone has a completely different voice, and yet it's still in the vein of the same voice, and it's so cool.
The Bad Batch is him flexing his range. It's just
Yeah,
incredible.
that's it.
He
And
like
then
because
there's normal clones
he voices 5 main characters in the Bad Batch.
and
So
all the extra clones.
and all the extra clones. He's great.
Yeah, he's so cool.
Mm.
I will say James Arnold Taylor, his like his role as Obi-Wan is really good. But I'd say honestly, my favorite of his is Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank.
Oh yeah, that's really cool too.
He's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good as Ratchet.
My
Um,
brother's a big fan of um my brother's a fan of Ratchet and Clank. He loves it.
it's a good game series. It's a lot of fun.
Mhm. Ooh, Kelp, do you have a question for Ultimate?
Ah, yes. Do I have a question for Ultimate?
Like,
I might need some time to think about my next question, but I see another question from Prankster. Prankster says, "Okay, last question. If you could pull a massive prank on any Sonic character, which character and prank?" I'm excited to hear this response.
Mm.
So Shadow's out of the question because that's a death sentence in itself.
Yeah, he would destroy you.
Yeah.
I would say Tangle because Tangle also has a tendency to pull pranks. I can see it, and she could take a joke easily. She's that kind of girl. So the prank I would pull is I would, without her knowing, just take her tail and tie it to something, and then I'll just watch and see how far she'll walk until she realizes her tail is stretching. Because there is a limit to where she uh to how far her tail can go. Like during the issue 24 of the Metal Virus arc, when she gets infected, spoiler alert, she asks Sonic to take her, so she'll grab her tail on a lamppost and then just make trap wire everywhere. They'll slow down the zombots so that, when the ship takes off and they come running, they'll get slowed down by her tripwire. But that would turn her into a zombot. So there is a limit to how far she goes. I'm guessing she'll probably go all the way to her limit until she realizes, ow, my butt's about to fall off. Oh! Oh no! What happened here? Ha ha, very funny, guys. So yeah, that would be the prank and the person I would prank. Because heaven
Mm.
forbid I'd prank Shadow.
Mm. I'm very curious. Did they ever say how long her tail is?
Nope.
No, I don't think so.
Mm.
No.
'Cause
I
that seems
just know
possible.
it can stretch really, really far.
Mm.
Probably I'd say at least 40 to 50 feet. If I'd have to look back. Maybe Radar can tell us because maybe he's like an in-depth analysis of those different panels in that
I can
issue.
hear
Maybe he
him
can tell us. I
cranking
don't
the
know,
numbers
but I'm
right
guessing
now.
40 to 50 feet. Let's see. And
Uh,
it's that old-fashioned type. He's like the Kermit gif where he's just typing away at the typewriter.
yeah. Okay. I think I got my question now. All right, let's see here. So Ultimate. Here's a good one. If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice when you were starting out, what would it be?
Mm.
First starting, I would tell myself not to start. I'm kidding. I would
Yay, more
actually
roles for me.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I would actually go in there and I would actually catch myself doing my first auditions for Cashlin. I would walk in, slap myself in the face, and go, "You need to get off your high horse because if you don't do that, if you don't learn that quick, you're gonna face a lot of disappointment." Now, I think if I did that, I probably would not do a much of the like the stuff I do now in my own channel, but um, I would like warn myself, just you need to not be so disappointed when you don't get casted because that's the goal of the game. That's the rule. You audition 5,000 different times. You might even be selected for one or two or even none of them, because that's the work. You have to learn real quick.
Mm.
If you don't get the role, that doesn't mean you're a horrible, terrible voice actor. It just means the director did not prefer your take. And it could be like the greatest voice acting you ever done, but it may not just be, the take the director wants. And because, people are picky and they'll pick and choose who they want and get callbacks, and then they'll pick and choose from there. And, that's how voice acting works. It's very cutthroat, and you're not only because you're not the only person competing, you're competing against all these different people and a certain redhead. And, so yeah, by the way, watch out for that redhead. Try to get to I would also tell myself to get to Cashlin as quick as and ask about Shadow. Then I think a lot of things would be different. and, um,
Mhm.
I would at least warn myself about you and then tell myself to go to Cashin and ask about Shadow. Ask
It's nice
about
to know
maybe
I'm such a threat.
yes, you are. I mean, my Shadow is only as good because I want to beat you and I push myself to beat you, and it still hasn't worked, but then again, we have an audition for the same role in a long time. So I don't know how we would do competing against each other again, because not only I have to compete against you, but I also compete against like 5,000 other different people who want the same role. So I don't know. The director could choose you, choose me, choose neither one of us, go with someone else. I don't know. So yeah. So I'm at that stage where I'm just like, if I beat you, cool. If not, next time. And if none of us win, well, that's a win in my book because you didn't get the role, but neither did I. But anyways, yeah. So I would just sit down with myself and just go in a whole humility lesson. So because
Mm.
if myself did not learn it at that time, well, I'm gonna learn it soon enough because I'm gonna meet Cashlin. But anyways, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, like when you think about it, like I always make the analogy about like when it comes to like voice acting, it's very similar to like job searching too, because
Uh huh.
it's
Yeah.
very competitive. You are competing against like whoever, like how many people who apply to the job. So it's very similar, you know.
Yeah, and I
So I
don't like job
totally
searching.
I totally understand. So that's why I always make this analogy that yeah, like because you can audition as many as you want, and there's like only a small fraction that you might actually get might actually get that callback, so um so that's something I always like to make analogy to and everything. Ooh, okay. Here is my next question.
Cool.
Um, in Sonic Revolution, did you have any favorite panel moments that are either memorable or funny?
Hmm. All the times I was able to voice Shadow or Silver instead of Kelp. No, I'm kidding. Um, as much as I'd like to say that, because it's a really nice feeling when Kelp steps down and I'm like, I can shine and be the favorite. I can't. But anyways, uh, it's actually a Starline moment. It was the tea time with Starline panel with Sticks. That was fun because my favorite moment, and I don't know how I got away with this to this day, where it's Starline trying to teach Sticks to be prim and proper and not to be the barbaric, you know, paranoia badger that she is, and he's trying to teach her how to hold a cup. And I went, okay, now hold the cup in your hand like this. Okay, now stick your finger out. No, that's your middle finger. You stick your pinky finger out. and, and I don't know how I got away with that. It was just like just casually, just I was just fast thinking, just going, okay, tell her to stick your finger out. Naturally, she's gonna stick the middle finger out, because what does sticks do? Well, probably give people the bird up on a tree just randomly. So you just want to stick? No, no, no. Stick your pinky finger out. Just be specific with her. And I don't know to this day how I got away with that, but it was a spur of the moment. I thought it fit with the character, and it was beautiful. So.
Nice. Kelp, do you have another question?
I sure do.
Am I better than
So
you? Yes.
obviously,
Anyways, moving on.
what?
I said, am I better than you? Yes. Moving on.
Well, it's funny because my next question does involve me a little bit. Can't help but be a little self-indulgent. So, my next question for you is: given our rival status and how much we constantly go at each other's throats, and are constantly put up against one another, what would you say is one of the most what is the one of the most beneficial parts of the rivalry that we have?
Pushing myself to overcome you. um, yeah, you could call it. You could say it's me thinking of you as a big threat, but I I wanted to beat you. I wanted to be better than you. And so, watching you do your stuff, and then I just worked on my own stuff, worked on my own vocal technique, because I know there's a day where I'm going to beat you in a shadow audition. I've already beaten you in a silver audition, and shadow's next, but I did not intend for you, because I did not intend to beat you in a silver audition. But sure, I'll chalk that as a win. But yeah, no, I was just you were an inspiration for me to push myself to become better. In particular, to beat you. That was it. Um, so it's like in an evil layer where I'm just like doing um push-ups and throwing darts, and your face is on the dartboard, and I'm trying to hit you in the nose or like in the eyeball or something for maximum damage. Um
Hmm.
but I keep missing, and I'm just hitting like, your hair follicle or like your torso. I'm like, I gotta hit the bullseye. That visualize that as me just in my booth trying to just put every fiber of my being into becoming better simply because I want to beat you. And that was it obviously it worked. It really did. Because I think my shadow used to be trash back then, and I'm humble enough to admit that it was garbage. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. It was garbage. Um, but now because of the pressure and the inspiration that I had, my shadow is well recognized, and you know I get casted from time to time as shadow. People are just biased, so they pick you. But I mean, I've got a couple of projects with shadow under my belt, so there's that. There's that.
Uh,
But yeah.
Mm. Mm. Okay, I don't see any more questions in the live stream chat as of yet. Ooh, okay. Let's see, where is my next question? Let's see.
How many people do we have in the live stream anyway? I'm not watching it. I'm just like, curious.
Um, it's going up and down. We have 7 people watching, according to what I'm seeing.
Hey, all you 7 people in there, get your friends to watch.
um, I am very curious. I am very curious to know, Ultimate. Are there any Sonic characters you relate to in terms of personality?
Harold. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that
that's not a
that
Sonic
doesn't make sense.
character.
Yeah, I know. It's Silver, actually.
Oh.
Um, he struggles with self-confidence. He's shy. Um, but when his friends are harmed or, under threat, he steps up. Um, and he's got a lot of, he's naive, and he doesn't really know completely how the world works, but he takes one step forward. He just goes forward. He just takes every day as it is, and he just, he gives it his all, no matter what it is. He's like, I'm just going to go forward and give it everything I've got, and we will achieve victory. And I really relate to all of that. I'm like, he's really, I want to say I relate to Shadow, but that's not the greatest character to relate to. So, but Silver's just this wholesome being, it's just, I'm not a
He's just the best
wholesome being, but I
character
can relate
ever.
to that. Yeah,
That's all it is.
he's
Silver's
one of
just
the
the best character.
he's one of the most brilliantly written characters, and his first introduction in it was a terrible game, but that's the one thing they kept from '06 out of all that was Silver because they saw potential. And, it works out because in everything he's done is just, he's a cool character. So, he's a really big sweetheart and I really relate to him as a character.
Mm. Very, very cool. Um, Help. Do you have another question?
All right, let me see here. Um, here's an interesting one.
Oh boy.
What role do you think is more fun to play, the hero or the villain?
So
Ooh.
if you'd asked me that question before I voiced Starline, I would 100% say the hero. But now
Mm.
that I've got a taste of villainy and how fun it can be, I'm torn. I love playing both. I love being the guy that goes ahead and fights the evil and slays the dragon and gets the girl. But there's a certain side of villainy that you're just plotting and and making up these plans and following through and capturing the hero and mwahaha, I'm gonna rule the world. It's so much fun to be devious and because that's a side I don't really get in touch with a lot because I want to be a good person. But, you know, there's a certain temptation that you have that just comes out when you're playing a character and it's just so much fun to be bad. I mean, I say this if it was bad to be a bad guy, no one would do it. So I I can't really tell you what I would play. It would just depend on who I'm casted for and what I'm asked to do. Because there's not only just heroes and villains, there's also anti-heroes and villains that, aren't really good at being villains. And then there's, people that, are on the fine line of just on the precipice of am I good? Am I bad? You don't know. They're not clearly defined heroes or anti-heroes or villains. They're just there. So yeah, I don't know. I love being both. I love playing the hero. I love playing the villain. I'm like Palpatine, where I play two sides of the same war. On the one hand, I'm the Chancellor. I'm the good guy. And then on the other hand, I'm this evil Sith Lord that's just like bent on destruction. And in the end, I'm the same character. I'm still evil, but uh, that was a bad example actually, because he's manipulating both sides. Well, you get the point. I don't know what to pick. I genuinely would love to play both.
Mm. Yeah. Because every time I see like Starline in something Ultimate, I just hear your Starline voice. Like whenever I read comics.
Yeah, that's
Like,
great. Um I know I've dubbed the first bit of issue 3 of Imposter Syndrome just as a sampler. And that was a lot of fun to do cuz that there's a lot of range of emotion in that first scene where he's just like frantic, upset, and then it switches to him being analytical and then at the end devious. So it's just a lot of fun. And then also writing my own stuff and voicing in that as Starline is also a treat to be devious as well. And then there was also, there's also the over exaggerated evilness that comes up in the telenovela where, it's just, you know, it's just a lot of fun. Starline's a fun character. I never thought I'd have so much fun playing.
mm, nice. Ooh, looks like I see a question in the live stream chat. It's from KJ Productions.
Oh, I know him. Yeah.
Please submit. If you could be best friends with any Sonic character, who would it be and why?
It's a great question. Um, I want to. Ooh. If I could be friends with anybody, like there's a lot of good choices and a lot of biased choices as well. But if I want to be completely unbiased, I would say Cream. Because
Ooh.
Cream is a little ray of sunshine and positivity, and she really knows how to keep her head up in some situations, and she can be really mature at times and knowledgeable, and I would really like a little friend like that.
Mm.
Um, Also, she's just an adorable little bean you just want to pick up and just take home and just, but yeah, either her or Tangle, because I also like the extroverted friend. Like I said, Tangle's like that best friend that you can get in trouble with and it'd be fun. And that'd be the friend I would really like to have in Tangle.
Mm. Oh wait, Ultimate, do you want to know who Cream reminds me of?
Boone.
Yes.
Yeah, well, there you go. I've got to cream the rabbit in real life.
Um, but yeah, as soon as you started describing, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Boone right there to a T.
Yeah, I guess she's. And then her mom's Vanilla. What do you know? Oh my gosh, I am siblings with the rabbit family. Oh boy, it's gonna be fun.
Ooh, Kelp, do you want to read the other question in the live stream chat?
Sure. The one from Prankster?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That last question bit was a joke, so Ultimate is going to get straight to the point. What would you do if you were actually going to beat Kelp? How would you surprise him and tell him?
Wait, so this is this if I beat you?
If you beat me, how would you surprise me and tell me?
I think.
Assuming that I don't already know because of how casting call works and I could see who gets
Yeah,
cast.
yeah. So I would not. I probably would not be able to tell him straight out because I would be under an NDA. Um, Most likely, I would wait until the project is released in some or like some form of announcement comes out, and then I would go straight to his DM and I would write, "I win in your face!" Ah ha ha ha! Ah ha ha! And then I would just watch him fall in a puddle and, "Oh, Ultimate, I'm so sorry. Yes, you finally beat me. I surrender. Here, take my money, take my rolls. I submit. Oh!" Which probably wouldn't happen. It'd just be in my head. He'd probably just react and go, "Hey, congrats, man. Well played. Well played."
That's exactly how I would react. I would just
Yeah,
be like,
he'd
"Hey, man, congrats!
"Hey,
I'm proud of
congrats.
you.
Finally you beat me. Well done. This is a long time well
I
done,
knew you
man.
had it
Well
in you.
done."
You just had to finally figure it out and do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's
I can't win them all. I know that
no.
more than anyone."
Yeah. I think I also know I can't win them all. I mean, obviously, I've lost them to you, so, you know, yeah, but, yeah, that's how I would, quote, unquote, "surprise them" if it wasn't on casting call, because how casting call works, you can also look back at the thing and see the announcement, "Oh, this is guy got casted for that and that and that," so, you know, yeah. But
Mm,
if it wasn't casting call, it'd be easier to surprise them that way. If it
mm.
wasn't casting call, I think actually you would just if I didn't see it first, you would probably go in my DM like, "Hey, you won." Just
I'd
just
probably say, "Hey, congrats on getting casted," and then you'd be like, "Wait, I got casted for what?" And then you'd check and you'd find out what it is because you'd probably
yeah,
forget about it.
exactly, yeah.
Knowing you, you'd probably forget about it, and then I'd have to tell you and be like, "Hey, you that role we both went for, you won. You got it. Congrats." And then you'd be like, "Ha! I did it."
Yep, correct.
All right, so here is my next question for you, Ultimate. I am very curious. How did you come up with your Starline voice? I am very curious.
Okay, so Starline was a character that I had no intention of voicing at all because he was a villain. And at the time I was like, I don't want to be villains. I want to be the hero. I want to be the guy that takes out the bad guy. And so um excuse me. Um So I remember one time I auditioned for Starline for a friend, and I had a one off with Kelp because he also auditioned for Starline. But I won the he actually voted for me at the end, which is kind of humbling. But anyways, the creation of the voice was actually inspired by Wolf Song? No, I'm sorry, Wolf Blade. I'm so sorry. There's
Wolfblade,
another person I know
the Adrenaline
crediting
Dub's
this.
voice
Yeah,
of
the
Starline, right?
of Starline, who is also in 182 as well. Jealous of that, but anyways, he he was the first Starline I'd ever heard, and I really liked his take. But of course, the mentality of a voice actor is, of course, this is good. How can I do it better? Because again, it's cutthroat. You want the role. You want to be better than the other guy. So what can you do? What can you bring to the table that the other person cannot or didn't think of? Which is why a tip for voice actors: if you're in a competition, let the other guy go first. Always let the other guy go first. Anyways, so I the creation of the voice, because his Wolfblade's voice is low, it's lower pitched than mine, but it's British, it's suave, it's the basics of Starline, where he's this sophisticated British gentleman. So I took that, and of course, being me, I just did my normal pitch, which is higher than his. I put mine with a little bit of swagger in it, you know, and I just felt like, he was this fop. If you don't know what a fop is, it's back in the colonial times, where it's this sophisticated, silly gentleman. I suppose I could sum it up. They just talk funny, they walk funny. And the reason they can get away with that is because they're rich. That was it. Um, so yeah, so he was this suave British gentleman that has this outgoing, like, on the one hand, he's this outgoing, like, oh, I am just suave, I am cool, I can steal any lady off the block. And then in private, when he's plotting, he's got that devious side, that evil side, where he's just planning and plotting, and that was the voice I came up with. But I didn't really use it a lot in the beginning, because I was like, meh, sure, whatever. And then I got casted as Starline and Revo, so I'm like, meh, let's just do it, I suppose, whatever. And then, yeah, then I got really popular for it. Girls started simping for it. I was like, oops, because I just created a character that women liked. I'm like, oh boy. So since then, I just was like, this in a very short time. But he's very dramatic, very outgoing, and oh, the world is going to end. Oh, why? I thought I made it, but he can compose himself from time to time and enjoys a spot of tea and a good book. And that was just the range and creation that I came up with, because I was thinking if AD ever lost to Starline, or if some big content creator needed a Starline and they had additions, I could just be like, boom, hey, I've got this voice, I could do it. And I think I originally started out to become the greatest shadow voice actor that ever lived, and Starline just dethroned that. I'm no longer a great I mean, I am a great shadow VA, but I am known only if you think of a Starline, what do you think of? Boom, ultimate. I'm like, that's not what I intended, but sure, let's just go with that. So, yeah, that's how the voice of Starline was created, and now I'm famous for it. In Revo, anyway.
Yeah, I have to say as I said previously, whenever I see Starline, in any of like fan comics or anything, I just imagine just reading Starline's voice, and then all I can hear is just hear your voice for the character. And 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 I believe your voice is very distinct too, you know. um for Starline. So like you have done such a phenomenal job. Like it's very funny because I kind of see your Starline as very sassy, you know?
That's the only kind of sass I could ever come up with. I'm 100%. I am not. I mean, I can get sassy and sarcastic, but not on the level of like some people. Like I can't come up with comebacks. Only as Starline can I just out the wazoo. I'm just like sassy, sarcastic. I'm like boom, 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 boom. Ha ha. I got you. And then as myself, I'm just like, and then I come back 3 days later because I said so. It's, so
Yeah.
the I don't know where it comes from when I'm Starline, and then when I'm myself, I don't know where it just disappears. I'm like, well, all right.
I still remember, I forgot who brought it up. They're like, how is it in your Starline voice that you can come up with comebacks, but when you're
I
yourself?
know. I've said this. I'm like, I don't know how I do this. Like in Starline, I'm just like bam, bam, bam. As myself, I just get a peanut shooter could just knock me over. It's stupid.
Ah, looks like we only have one, just for one more question. Kelp, do you have, your last
Oh, I was
question?
gonna ask when it was gonna end because I was wondering if this is gonna be like forever or 2 hours. I'm like, hmm.
It's gonna be two
If
hours.
we did longer than 2 hours, you'd make it 3 by rambling on.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyways, you said there was
Um,
one last question?
if I had a last question, I'd
Sure.
say my last question for Ultimate would be, what are your goals for the future of your channel, your voice acting, and just you in general?
Mm.
So I'm currently hoping to switch jobs, which will mess up my hours a little bit, but that's how it works. Um, but my channel's not going away anytime soon. I want to, pursue this as like as a hobby. Because I do have a series I'm writing, and I would feel absolutely terrible to just end it on a cliffhanger. But then again, like Kelp said, the greatest shows end on a cliffhanger, then Netflix never brings them back, which I did not know. Um, is that what happened to Clone Wars? Because that was on Netflix, and they only got the 6 and then stopped. But anyways, as for just voice acting in general, once like there's some things I need to take care of, like getting my own demo reel professionally done, auditioning more in original works, which I've fallen out of practice with because I've had no motivation to do it. Ugh. Like I guess that's where that self motivation comes in. And then getting more and more into paid stuff and all that. Because all this fan stuff is practice for me, and I've had a lot of practice in the 3 years I've been doing this. Or is it 4? No, it's 3. In the 3 years I've been doing this, and I it's a lot of fun, but eventually I'm gonna have to move on from fan stuff. Yes, there is going to be I don't know when, but there's gonna be a time where I'm gonna have to move on from fan stuff because a lot of corporations for in voice acting frown upon the fan stuff. If you're unionized, if you're not union, you can get away with it. But that's a whole nother can of worms. But yeah, that's I want to improve and get to a level where I can do great things in my voice acting and hopefully become big. It's a low chance, but if that's where I'm called to go, then we're gonna have some fun with that. So big goals, big goals. Gonna take a couple years, but big goals.
That's really wonderful, Ultimate. And unfortunately, we will have to end this Q&A. Um, but it was such a pleasure to do this Q&A, and I was so glad Kelp and I we were able to surprise you
I did
with
not see that coming, and I hate you for it.
I'm
Not you,
surprised you
not
didn't
you,
see it
not.
coming, to be honest.
I thought it was just gonna be me and Chris and Leah. That's it. I was like, this is gonna be a nice, chill. Oh, great. Of
I
course.
contemplated when I joined in playing One Winged Angel.
I wish you did actually, but then that would have been like copyrighted,
It
wouldn't it?
would have been really funny, but I was like, nah,
Yeah,
I'm
that would.
good.
Yeah, that would have been funny. That would have definitely surprised me because I was actually in the server self promoting, and I didn't see you pop in until I hovered my mouse over the server, And if you had just played One Wing Angel before I did that, that would have just tipped me off like, oh, great. Stay where you are in my memories. But yes.
Um,
Good to see you.
um, but yes, we will have to end this Q&A. It was a pleasure to do this Q&A
Hey,
with you.
thank you for
Logan.
hosting me.
Of course. I want to be able to give, a like VAs who actually are, striving for more and I
Yeah.
know and I know you have built up quite quite a following as well. So I
And
wanted to be able to
y-
help
I
with
it
that.
took a few years, but yeah. Good things come to those who wait, so you know.
hmm And stay tuned everyone. Uh, do not worry. The new live stream series is coming soon. We are slowly cooking up the first episode, which will pretty much feature Tango and Blaze,
Yeah,
which will
no,
be
they're not doing the cooking, by the way. It's Leah and whoever else is doing this because they're not allowed in the kitchen.
Um, but but yeah, we are slowly cooking up the first episode, and I'm collabing with Kevin on this and of course, the amazing VAs behind Tangle and Blaze for this new live stream series will be Coincidence and Ably Moon 88. So stay tuned for that. And also stay tuned for an upcoming episode of Sonic Lore with Radar and as well as the Lucky Charm podcast. But may you all have a wonderful day today. Bye, everyone.